my job is important is because a lot of games are not originally in English, or the English has not been recorded yet. And, if a game is originally in Japanese, which a lot of them are, we need to use the Japanese audio to record into English so that audiences who speak English would be able to enjoy them. So we switch to the next slide. Not going to switch to the next slide. Let me try this again. Or maybe I'll just do it this way. Is that working? Can you see
Yeah,
the
yeah, we
hello?
can see
Okay.
your screen. Awesome.
So the general title that I have is audio engineer. However, I'm more in charge of the editing that goes on after the recording. So when we edit audio, we make sure that there's no mouth sounds that are left and it all sounds nice and even. And then that goes into the game. So for example, let's say you're the mixer, who is the person who makes everything sound even for the audio for the game, and you have an actor who whispers and then yells in the same sentence. So it's up to the editor to make the whispering sound as loud or as low as the yelling so that the mixer can bring up that total audio and make it sound even enough. I also do a lot of recording, so that's recording the voice actors into English. And all of those positions are kind of an umbrella term of audio engineer. So I went to California State University, Northridge. I went for cinema and television arts for film. And my goal there was to learn audio and to learn, filmmaking. And I was also very interested in virtual reality. In that program, we didn't learn too much about virtual reality. We learned a little bit, but we did learn the basics of audio, which was good enough. It gave me the tools that I needed to go out and learn. It told me what I didn't know so that I could go out and learn what I didn't know from, like online. So I've been working since I was 14 and I'm 26 now. So I guess I've been in the workforce for 12 years. I've had a ton of different jobs. I do mostly like my game audio is what I like to do. So I would like to stay in game audio or dubbing, for movies and TV. But I've done a ton of jobs. Like I was a computer lab assistant at a school. I was a teacher assistant at a school. I've done a whole bunch of different stuff. I've been working for Skylark now for around 5 years doing this job. So I've worked on games like Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Final Fantasy 7, no, Final Fantasy Dissidia NT, another game called Neo, The World Ends With You. So a lot of Japanese games is what I've worked on.
Oh, pretty extensive career.
Thanks. Yeah. A lot of Japanese games. So yeah, just going back to I record, edit, and deliver voiceover files for clients for movies, TV, and video games. I also do some voiceover myself as an actor. So I've been on Netflix, I've been on Disney Plus, and I'm in a big video game coming out soon. So that's fun. I really like voice acting too. That's always a fun time. And originally, as a kid, and as a, up until I would say my first year of college, I wanted to be a lawyer. But I decided I didn't want to become a lawyer because I wanted to do something more creative. And there's nothing wrong with becoming a lawyer. I just didn't see myself as a lawyer in later stages of my life. So I wanted to change it and do game audio. So everything kind of started. It's really difficult to get into this industry. You really have to know somebody, to be honest. And the best place to know people is to network with people in school, in college. Just try and get as much experience as possible. I would not advise it, but I went. I volunteered on a lot of sets on Craigslist in order to get experience. Lots of interesting things happen there. But I ended up meeting somebody at when I went to Valley College before Cal State Northridge, who worked at a sound studio, and I just told him, "Hey, I'll come and get you coffee, and I'll take out the trash, as long as I can just be around and see what you guys are doing." So I went over there, and I guess they liked my work ethic. I kept showing up. Eventually, I asked them if I can use them for their internship for school, and they taught me everything there, and then they hired me, and that's where I've been working, and then kind of moved up that way, starting as an intern, then as a dialogue editor, now as a senior dialogue editor and recording engineer. So yeah, let's see.
Awesome.
So here's some pictures of me at the top doing voiceover on a studio microphone, and on the bottom kind of what it would look like for me to engineer a session. So at the top would be me in front of like a uh large diaphragm condenser mic like the Audio-Technica 4047, where I'd be speaking into it with a pop filter. And then I have a script screen right below me where I would be reading the script. In this picture with the blue, I'd be looking at a screen maybe to see where the characters' lips are moving, to try and match the lip flaps. And then as an engineer, I'd be down here on the chair in the control room, because you have a booth and then you have a control room. Both are soundproof rooms. I would be recording on Avid Pro Tools, the main program that we use, and then I would be also writing the gain on the preamp here, the amplifier that amplifies the signal for the microphone, so that we can get a healthy signal into Pro Tools and everything sounds nice and good. So the kind of flow things would be, the actor is, you have an actor, and then I would be recording the actor. Sometimes it's myself here in my booth. I record myself and then edit myself. But I'd be recording the actor, and then that would go to our editing team, those files, and they would remove all those kinds of mouth sounds, so it sounds all nice and perfect for the game. And then all that audio gets implemented into the video game, so that it sounds all nice and good. So let's talk about grit. What motivates you? So in this industry, you get a lot more no's than yeses, a lot more no's. There have been a lot of times where, you apply to something and it doesn't work out and you're completely qualified, but, I'm motivated by the ideal future that I want. So, and when I want to give up, I look at how far I've gotten and convince myself to keep going because of how far I've gotten. And that's been working for me pretty well, I would say. That keeps me going most days. And let's see, what was the hardest professional obstacle to overcome? Well, I did not go to school for audio engineering. I went to school for film and television. So it was difficult for me to try and learn an industry and a trade that I didn't know. And I spent a lot of hours at Skylark observing and learning as much as I possibly could so that I could stand a chance, in a real session by myself. And that was probably the biggest obstacle that I had to overcome, was imposter syndrome. Like, why am I supposed to be here? I can't believe I'm here listening to Kingdom Hearts being recorded. Like, am I good enough? That kind of stuff. But you get over it eventually. Can you talk about the most impactful part of your job? Well, I get to bring voices to very beloved characters in TV and video games. And the most rewarding part of it is seeing the game at the end, a year or whatever after you work on it when it's released, being able to play it and remember all the voice files that I edited and recorded, and now it makes a character come to life. That's the most rewarding part of it for me. So here's some pictures, once again, of me in our Studio C booth here, talking into a U87 microphone. And then these other pictures are of my home studio that I built. So I built a little editing bay here with some KRK speakers, the very weird mouse that all audio engineers use that I love, the Kensington mouse. Then here's the setup that I'm talking on right now, the microphone with the boom arm. So then I have a preamp with me so I can adjust my own gain. And here's the outside of it. It's a sauna that I converted into a voiceover booth by sealing it up and adding insulation and drywall and all of that stuff so that it's now pretty soundproof and sounds pretty good. So our takeaways here. So what life lessons has your work taught you? Well, as an audio engineer, the the best audio engineers are always quick on their feet, quick thinking. They always they never stop learning. There's always a solution. You always have to stay calm and think of a solution, like on the fly. Um, you never get frustrated. You're supposed to ask for help when you don't know, or you know, are trying to plan for something. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. A lot of the ways that I've kind of moved up in this career is by being kind of just thrown into the fire. And that's because somebody calls out sick, somebody, needs help with something, they can't do a session or whatnot, and they're like, "Hey, Alex is here, maybe he could do it." And you just get thrown into it, and if you can kind of manage, then you're able to survive. And they said, the boss goes, "Oh, well, I guess Alex could do that now. Maybe we'll give him more of this stuff." And that's kind of just how it's been in terms of moving up in terms of position. So where do you see yourself in 10 years? Well, I hope to be an audio director or dialogue lead for a major game studio. So that would mean that all audio or all dialogue for a game would go through me, and I would be making all of the executive decisions on the dialogue. So for something like The Last of Us, for example, all the dialogue would go through me, and I'd be kind of in charge of it. That'd be kind of a dream job for me. So hopefully that happens. And that's so just I guess general advice would be do something that you like, try really hard at it, and take the little steps you think you need to take to get to that place. Um, Try and get an internship if you can, or just work experience, learning from people who actually do the job, because school is great because it teaches you what you don't know. And you can use that to then learn online or learn from somebody in person. Um, and people are always looking for somebody who wants to try hard and really learn the job. So yeah, that would be my biggest advice.
And just a question for you, Alex. You said that you ended in this role, like, and took a non-traditional route. What would be your recommendation for like the standard route to become what you are today?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So the standard route would be to be an audio engineer from a lot of the people at the studio. A more traditional route would be to uh, go to Cal State Dominguez Hills and um, major in their audio engineering program, which teaches you mostly music stuff, but a lot of the same stuff that I had to learn on my own, that applies to post production, which is the film side of it, which is what I'm doing. So a more traditional route would be to go to Cal State Dominguez Hills or USC and major in their audio engineering programs. And you'll come out of school with a very good understanding of how, um, you know, everything works. And then of course you'll have to learn a bit more on the job as well, but you'll start with a much better understanding than I did. From the interns that I've trained, they definitely have a much better understanding than I did when I came out of college.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Does anybody here have any questions for Alex while we still have him on? Any questions about the arts, what it will take? All right. Well, maybe can you touch base a little bit about like how lucrative this industry is?
Yeah, so this industry, this umbrella of the industry is called localization. And localization, you take one language and you make it into another. So for an audio engineer, it probably starts around somewhere like 50K a year and can go up to, I would say, 120K a year. Um, but there's so many other jobs within this umbrella. There's like adaptation, so actually writing the scripts that go from one language to another, or making it sound more human and more conversational. Because if you translate Japanese into English, it's not going to sound very conversational. Somebody has to go through and do all of the, make kind of translate all the phrases properly, but it takes more like creative input at that point. So yeah, there's a lot of different positions that you can do. Like there's editing, there's implementation is its own part of it. So actually putting the audio into the game and showing the audio director, hey, this is how the audio file would work. That's its own thing as well. So yeah, it's a very cool, and it is lucrative, especially if you work directly for the game developers. They pay quite a lot of money, like upwards, definitely six figures and above.
Okay. And another question. I'm sorry, I drew a blank right now. The industry that you're in, um, you said it's very hard to break into. Is it highly competitive? What's the job market look like for someone that's trying to get into it?
Yeah, so a lot of these places, the job market, if you really have to intern somewhere in order to learn their programs and kind of build a reputation. There is a website called voiceoverresourceguide.com where you can look up all of the agents, all of the recording studios, and all of the demo producers in Los Angeles, and just try and intern with one. The job market in Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago are pretty much the three main places you can work in voiceover in the United States. Um, there is a demand for people who know how to do this type of work for sure. But you definitely need to start with an internship or just get your foot in the door somewhere.
Okay. Now, Alex, a student had a question about how long you were in school for.
I was in school, I did 2 years at Pierce College, a community college. Well, I guess, yeah, I did 2 years in community college, and then I did another 2 years at Cal State Northridge. Um, so yeah, I guess that's 4 years altogether. But, I've gotten, more specialized certifications after that, which are kind of more job specific. Uh, and Yeah, so I guess 4 years is the right
Okay.
answer.
And I think my last question is, like, what's the most rewarding part about your job? Or is there any like sense of gratification you get from doing this career?
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to interact with the actors and the directors in real time and have a very big influence on, what audio actually goes into the game that you see millions of people enjoy when the game comes out. And also, I play a lot of video games myself, so being able to play the games and listen to the audio that I recorded or I edited is really redeeming and makes me feel like I played a part in everybody's experience and enjoying the media.
And I'm sorry, I think we had a question over here. What was that, Nathan?
I don't like what kind of games or like TV shows you recorded.
Yeah, you might have mentioned it earlier, but the students had a question. Can you go over about the most popular games you went over? I think you said Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, and I think Adrian in the chat also asked what gaming companies have you worked with, so I can answer both of those at the same time. So at my studio, we mostly work with Square Enix, and we mostly work on kind of Japanese to English games. So I've worked on Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Final Fantasy Dissidia NT, and Neo The World Ends With You. So a lot of Japanese to English games, or they call them JRPGs.
Dang. All right. Well, thank you for that. So if anyone else doesn't have any questions, I think we'll wrap this up. I just want to thank you again, and I appreciate your time, Alex. You have such a very interesting career path. It's very interesting how you ended up, deciding that you were going to be a lawyer, and now you're doing this. So thank you for gracing us with your presence, and we hope to have you back sometime in the near future. So thanks.
Awesome. You're very welcome, and I hope everybody wants to be an audio engineer now.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day.